Hello. You're here because you want to learn how to do optimal DPS. Today, I will leave you with the builds and setups that you should have prepared to be the best raider that you can be. Let's begin. This video is going to be skewed towards 0 to 3 feet raiding and by extension dungeons. I say 3 feet because that's where I think the average person will cap out in terms of casual raiding. 3 feet is very doable for an average group, assuming you know how to deal damage with your kit, which is what you are here to learn. So if you're wondering why I'm not explaining some more advanced strategies, I'm trying to maximize your damage with the least amount of effort required. Last time we did this video was 2 years ago, and I went pretty in depth with weapon rolls and strategies and all that. This time, we're going to be keeping it much simpler because I really don't think you're going to need much more than what I'm about to tell you. By far, the easiest option is the rocket launcher Truth. This is as point and shoot as it comes. This was newly buffed in the June 9th update, where hitting all rockets in a magazine buffs the next magazine and gives you an extra rocket. The catalyst gives you Reaper's Tithe as well. So the idea is to activate Reaper's Tithe with some kills, put your rocket away until it's time to deal damage, then shoot everything that you have at your target when it's time to deal damage. This strategy works for any boss where you won't accidentally blow yourself up, especially if you don't have on the phase limit feat. That being said, this setup is a burn the candle at both ends kind of a setup. It's about really fast damage for shorter windows of time. It'll still work for the majority of content out there, just make sure that you're in a position to be able to re-farm your rocket ammo for the next phase. When you run out of rockets, swap to some kind of a special weapon like a sniper or a rocket pulse and continue to do damage until the phase ends. You do not need Gallarhorn for truth spam because Gallarhorn only works with legendary rockets. What's next? In my opinion, linear fusions, probably Queenbreaker, with particle reconstruction. This is also very simple to execute. Point and shoot at the boss's face. This strategy has a bit more long-term strength. It takes longer to run out of ammo, so it's better for damage phases that can be a little bit longer. The catalyst is rewind rounds, so it just reloads you automatically. Point and shoot at the boss, done. An alternate version of this could be the Whisper of the Worm Sniper with Sniper's Meditation from the artifact. If for some reason your exotic slot is taken, a Cataclysmic or Eyes Unveiled with a traditional linear setup, which is to say 4th times the charm and a damage perk, will work just fine. If you have access to super fast or auto reloads like through Banner Shield or even a Rally Barricade, which you should have if you have a Titan in your group, the refurbished A499 with aggregate charge has been putting in some serious work as a damage weapon, and it's a legendary weapon as well. If you can get this with the Accelerated Assault Origin trait, that's even better. Finally, we have melee-based encounters which would want a sword. Wolfsbane is capable of quite a lot of damage, especially if you can get the Attrition Orbs retrofit for it, just pushing out orbs for everybody. I will say that most of the melee-based encounters you're going to find are dungeon-based, but there are a few raid ones too, Crota, Herald, Finality, maybe the Wyvern and Desert, but I do think that most people could throw on Wolfsbane and just be fine, just make sure you're using the special function on it. Honestly, I think most people could throw on a legendary sword with decent damage and ammo restoration perks and be fine as well. Just make sure you have someone on an Ergo Sum with Wolfpack rounds if you're going with legendary swords. As long as you're using Wolfsbane's special feature and you're using your heavy attack on your legendary sword, I think you're chillin'. Can you get more fancy than this? Yes. Bait and switch rotations still exist, for example, with like Hez and Vengeance. Special class-specific or niche setups still exist as well. Do you need to get fancier than this? For 0 to 3 feet raiding and dungeoning, I really don't think so. I'd rather just keep this as basic as possible because all of those setups are going to work just fine. If you know what you're doing with like Envious Arsenal bait and switch rotation based damage setups, you're probably too advanced to really get anything out of this video anyway. On the topic of 1000 voices, this is a pretty good weapon to use. Well of Radiance Warlock, we'll talk in a couple of minutes. But I would really only recommend one person on 1k because of how ignites can trigger. Multiple people trying to get ignitions on the same target is just like really obnoxious and inconsistent. So just try to stick to one person. Otherwise, surge mods in your boots. Just you know, put them on for your weapon of choice. Just a lot of people forget about that. I'm intentionally not going to discuss armor set bonuses too much here because I don't think you need any of them. And I'd rather people not stress about trying to get the perfect set bonuses. Just focus on solid stats for a damage setup, which a lot of the time is just going to be a bunch of powerhouse armor. If anyone tells you that you need XYZ set bonus in order to do damage or join their group, they're annoying. It's a nice to have, it's not necessary. That being said, some good ones to consider are, number one, anything that works with your build. Are you on Arc? Get some Luminipotent armor. Are you on Hunter? 4-piece VOG set bonus, that's not too bad. Number two, generalist set bonuses where it works with any build. Exodus Down 4-piece, King's Fall 2-piece, Smoke Jumper 2-piece, Shattered Throne 4-piece, stuff like that. They're a set bonus. They are not mandatory, and if anyone tells you that, you tell them they can come talk to me. I don't care if I'm retiring. Now, let's review some builds, keeping it as simple as I can. Titans, you're hopping on Arc, you're grabbing Storm's Keep, you're grabbing T-Crash, throw on a Cuirass, and stack the hell out of your weapons and super stat. That is all you need to do for pretty much every boss in the game. If you stayed on this setup for essentially every boss encounter in the game, no one would think twice. Do not overcomplicate this. Now, if your team happens to be on a setup that isn't one of the two that I mentioned, maybe people have some good rocket launchers, something like that, you could swap to a Banner Shield Void Titan to provide that support service. Your build should just otherwise be a generalist Void setup, get Devourer, Overshields, nothing fancy. But if your team is using Truth Rockets as the primary setup, do not use Banner Shield because the auto reload will nullify the bonus that Truth gives your team. If for some reason you do not wish to be an Arc Titan, Hellfire Heart Solar Titan can also be quite good, but you need to be able to put yourself in a position to stack Sunfire Furnace to 10 stacks before a boss damage phase. This isn't always easy, sometimes it's not even possible, and lesser experienced players may struggle with doing this consistently. It's just a lot easier to slam your head into the boss with a T-Crash and just call it a day. Warlocks, you technically have a bunch of options. I'm going to recommend just a couple. The first is Solar Warlock, either support or non-support flavored. The support flavored one is Well of Radiance with Boots of the Assembler. Do I personally think you need Boots of the Assembler in this kind of content? Is it necessary? No. But the more inexperienced or bad your team is, the better these get. If you're running with a squad that knows what they're doing and you just want to play something a little more fun, I think that's fine. But if you're going support mode, you're running the usual support solar stuff, Radiance, Restoration, etc. You could also run Tractor Cannon or Fafnir for your team if you're going all out on the support, and then use a Sniper for a long-term damage. You could use Divinity. It's all fine. Non-support Warlock can hop onto like Dawn Chorus and use 1000 Voices, emphasizing fragments that do bonus things with Scorch and Ignitions. If you don't want to be on Solar, honestly, there's nothing wrong with formatting your Getaway Artist Prismatic setup to be more weapon and super oriented in terms of stats and calling it a day. I have a 100 grenade and then as much weapon and super stat as I can get version of my setup. That's fine. Literally just do that. Put on Needle Storm as your super. Nova Bomb is fine too if it's not a good Needle Storm target. There's a reason this build is one of the best builds in the game. You can quite literally use it anywhere. When I was doing some 5 feet raiding, guess what my Warlocks were on? This. Hunters. Break out the Still Hunt and Nighthawk with Prismatic. This is pumping out insane amounts of damage nowadays. Use your Transcendence, pop Golden Gun, pop your Still Hunt, throw some abilities out there, and then just get to firing your Sniper. You can toss on A499 as well to supplement your Sniper damage if it's a long enough damage phase. The only thing that kind of sucks about this build is that you're running double Sniper, but if you're doing 3 feet rating or easier, a solid primary is going to make short work of most targets anyway. We also have the Hierarchy of Needs Void Hunter setup, which is great for a lot of bosses where you can just sit still for a while, and you don't need someone to hop on Divinity or Tractor for the debuff either, since your Tether should be providing enough of that effect. However, I know not everyone is going to have hierarchy of needs with the catalyst for this setup, whereas Still Hunt is likely something you have or can get without needing to like farm a dungeon. Alternatively, you could run Leviathan's Breath, you gotta have the catalyst, in place of hierarchy and still put out some really good damage. Remember, the strat with this is to pop your super using only one shot and then letting the timer just run its course. You get bonus damage with bows while your super is active, so pop it to activate, pop another shot or two at the very end of the timer, and just let your arrows fly. If you have multiple players on this setup, it's even better, at least when you're on hierarchy of needs. Pretty dramatic difference from the last time I did this video. In even just 2 years, the tools that we've gotten access to are substantial. At the end of the day, though, the best damage strategy is the one that allows you to do the most damage. But given how simple these setups are, I think everyone is capable of doing really good damage. What I'm saying is, you got no excuses now, and if your damage is bad, lock the hell in. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.